Brian and Kenzie in the morning. And Chicago's alternative all day.
Q101.
Kenzie's Krimes.
Milwaukee police found body parts in a North Side apartment.
Not because I was angry with them, not because I hated them, but because I wanted to keep them with me.
Believe me, if I started murdering people, there'd be none of you left.
This is evil, what those people have done to me.
She says Heaven's Gate awaiting.
I'm not guilty.
Q101.
Brian and Kenzie on Q101 with another edition of Kenzie's Krimes, a deep dive into a local mystery, murder, drama that Kenzie brings to me in case and you. So, Kenzie, take it away.
Johann Hoch was born in Germany around the 1850s. He had a religious family, like his brothers had all studied in the ministry, and once he was going to be of age, he was going to be sent to do the same. However, Johann was not interested in following in his family's footsteps, and with a lot of effort, he convinced his father to allow him to do something else with his life and choose his own path. And he decided to be an apprentice as a metal worker, but not his passion. That ended really fast. He decided to try his hand in pharmacy and worked at like a chemist shop. And he excelled at this. He grew a huge knowledge of different medications, chemicals, drugs, and more. So things seemed to be going well. He got to forge his own path. He actually found something he was good at. And then he married his wife in Austria in 1881. Unfortunately, she tragically passed away just a few years after they got married in 1883. So after that tragedy, Johann decided he was going to start a new life in the U.S. Upon arriving in New York, he quickly made his way to Chicago. He got a job in the meat packing plant. Then he met his next wife, Christine Ram. They had 3 children, so this marriage was going much better. His career in the United States was not funding him. I mean, I would imagine like what you made as a chemist in Germany, and now you're working at a meat packing plant. Like it just financially wasn't compensating him or his family the way it needed to. So he decided to leave his family.
Oh.
He was like, let me drop this expensive habit and never see them again. So his 3 children and wife, he's like, that's pricey.
The point of the 1800s, too, is there was no LinkedIn. Well, let's historically look okay on this guy for leaving his family. He just didn't have the resources to get another job.
Yeah.
To go out there and make horseshoes or something. I don't know.
You didn't have a promo code, for Indeed.
So anyways, he decided, let me drop this expensive habit. So Johann decided...
His family.
His entire family. Johann decided a great way to start making money. Now that he's gotten rid of his family, I am going to prey on widows. He headed to West Virginia and placed an advertisement in the Lonely Hearts column. One of the first women to reply was Caroline Hoch, and it didn't take long for them to get married. So in April 1895, Johann moved in to her home, and the couple started their life together. Unfortunately and tragically, it wasn't long after they got married that Caroline started to not feel very well. In June, after only 3 months of marriage, Caroline died after being a super healthy woman. She was buried, and the day after she died, Johann collected the life insurance, sold her house, and closed all the bank accounts.
Shocking.
However, police found his clothing, a pocket watch, a hat, as well as a suicide note on the bank of the Ohio River. They thought that Johann was so upset about his wife's passing that he ended up taking his own life. They searched for his body in the river, but they were never able to find it. Johann was then spotted in Jacksonville with another woman. The Reverend who married Johann and his now deceased wife, Carolyn, heard about this, started to be like this was a healthy woman, because that woman was a part of his congregation and he didn't like what was going on. And he went to see the police about it because he was feeling very uneasy. But due to lack of evidence, they decided not to investigate. Johann's next wife was...
Whoa. So that one, they just moved on. That's gone.
Yep,
She's dead.
Yep.
Okay.
So Johann's next wife was Maria Steinbuscher. She died 4 months after they got married. In November the same year, he married another woman in Chicago named Mary Ranking. The same day they got married, he took off with all of her money.
Oh.
The same day.
But she lived.
But she lived.
Well, that's good.
So I guess she comes out the winner.
So far.
Yikes. He fled to San Francisco and married 3 more women. He married another one in Cincinnati. 2 of them tragically and mysteriously died. And 2 he just left, taking all of their money with him.
Man.
His next marriage was January 1897 to a woman named Julia Dose in Hamilton, Ohio. He disappeared on their wedding day with a huge chunk of her money. On April 1898, he was finally arrested in Chicago for selling mortgage furniture. It was illegal for him to sell. and it received 2 years in prison.
Wait. That's what he got arrested for?
Listen.
It's like OJ getting arrested for stealing his own memorabilia.
Yeah.
Listen.
Complicated legacy.
That's right.
Listen, his wives have tragically passed away thus far. That's all that we know. So, while in prison, that reverend, once again, decided to go to the police officers and be like, hey, there's this rumor of a man that keeps scamming widows. Now Johann is in jail for other sketchy behavior, and he convinced the officers to exhume Carolyn's body and test it for poisons or anything like that. And I'm gonna pause right there. And what they find is absolutely insane.
When we come back here in 3 minutes, the conclusion, what they found on the corpse with Brian and Kenzie on Q101.
Brian and Kenzie in the morning. And Chicago's alternative all day.
Q101.
Brian and Kenzie on Q101 with the conclusion of Kenzie's Crimes about a guy from Germany that moved to Chicago and married 438 women, and they're all dead. I think, something like that. Go ahead, Kenzie.
So basically, at this point in time, it is April 1898. Johann has probably at least married over 25 people at this point. Some he just left with their money, and some tragically passed away. Thank goodness for this one reverend who really cared about a widow that was part of his congregation. He always had a bad feeling about Caroline's passing, and he convinced police to finally exhume her body while Johann was in jail for selling furniture, of all things. So they exhume her body, and what they found was that all of her vital organs had been surgically removed.
Huh.
So somebody had disturbed her grave because she was buried with her organs and taken them out.
Oh, I thought he came up with some way to get the organs out, and that's what killed her.
No. So no organs, unfortunately, meant no evidence. And Johann was released after serving his 2 years for furniture selling. So in the 1900s, soon after getting out, he married a woman named Mary Schultz. He had another wife.
What's her last name?
Schultz. I'm saying it fast because I'm unsure.
Schultz?
I kind of like Worcestershire.
Break it down.
Thank you so much for highlighting it. He had another wife in 1901 and another in 1902. He would convince these women often to sell property or empty their savings so he could invest money. And once he got his hands on it, he would disappear. And the women actually really trusted him because he was clearly from Germany, and he would say that his father was an aging man in Germany and he was going to inherit all this money. So most of these women believed him to be incredibly wealthy, so they weren't concerned about sharing their own wealth with him. So January 1904, he married Anna Hendricks in Chicago, and 18 days later disappeared with her money. He popped up again in Milwaukee, June 1904, and he married Lena Hoch. She died 3 weeks later, and Johann inherited her money. This guy has the worst luck. So he put out another dating ad.
Really? Is that what it is?
Just wait. You have no idea what I'm going to say. He put out another dating ad saying he's lonely and he wants to meet a woman, but preferably without children. Divorced woman named Marie Velka responded to the ad. They were married, and soon following the wedding, she fell ill, which is just horrible. So Johann reached out to her sister, Amelia, and asked her to come help with her sick sister. She came right away, aided her sister the best she could, but not long later, Marie died. And not long after that, about a day or two, Johann proposed to the sister, Amelia. She at first said no, because it was too soon. But he claimed his father was very rich, lived in Germany, was growing old, and he was going to inherit all this money. So Amelia agreed, but said they needed to leave Chicago. She actually kind of wanted to go have a honeymoon in Germany because she didn't want people seeing her and Johann together so soon after her sister's death. They got married in Joliet, and he scammed her out of $750 that day, which is a lot of money back then. That's people like life savings. So Amelia was pissed. This is where Johann messed up his winning streak. She realized what had happened to her sister. She realized she had just been defrauded, and she went to the police explaining all of this to them. They exhumed her sister's body, Marie Valka, right? And they found arsenic in her vital organ.
Oh, so he didn't get the organs out of her.
They did not do that.
That's too bad.
Yeah.
I think he thought he had Amelia in his palm, so he didn't have to worry about it.
Well, he's done it about 40 times at this point. He's like, I don't need to get the organs anymore.
Yeah, right. You get sloppy. You get comfortable, to be quite frank.
That's right.
They arrested me for furniture, but not murder. You know?
So he never touched furniture again. No, but so they knew that he had already fled, and because it was so insane and so juicy, it got published nationally. And a lot of women started to come forward that had been defrauded by him. So on January 30th, 1905, a woman named Catherine Kimmel reported a man named Henry who checked into her boarding house in New York. He seemed polite, but he did kind of hover a bit. He seemed to ask a lot of questions. She found him a bit odd, but still nice. What really freaked her out was the next morning after checking in, he proposed to her. And because of this, the story clicked in her head about the man that had been published nationally who's constantly marrying people. And she went to the police and was like, hey, his name's Henry, checked in under that, but I think that this could be him. So they show up, they arrest him, and they start searching his room. He had tons of cash, 2 wedding rings, lots of dress clothes, and they also found a pen that had white powder in it. And they tested that and found it to be arsenic. So like, this is our guy, they're arresting him. He kept claiming he was Henry, and they actually had to have a woman travel to New York to be like, no, I did marry him. That's Johann. That is not Henry. Then he got sent to Chicago for his trial to start March 1905, and he was charged with 1 murder, Marie Valka. He was found guilty and sentenced to death. So even though he was only convicted of 1 murder, 14 known and 100% confirmed died with connection to him. And it is believed that he married more than 50 women and either scammed them, murdered them, and in many cases, both. Now, human remains were later found after he'd already passed away in a home that he once lived in, which really leaves the door open on how many women there were and how many victims' bodies have been left hidden with no peace or justice to them or their families. And due to the time period, as well as the amount of fake aliases he's had, because almost every time he took a wife, he would take their last name, so he probably had over 50 names he went by. All I know is whenever I see a gap in the timeline of his criminal history, all I can wonder is what woman is not being recognized.
Kenzie's Crimes.
Milwaukee police found body parts in a North Side apartment.
Not because I was angry with them, not because I hated them, but because I wanted to keep them with me.
Believe me, if I started murdering people, there'd be none of you left.
This is evil, what those people have done to me.
See, says Heaven's Gate awaiting.
I'm not guilty.
Q101.
What a wild story of people texting in saying, what'd this guy look like to get about 80 wives? Well, you can go back and, of course, to the podcast if you missed any part of that and listen to it again on the Brian and Kenzie podcast. If you missed the first part, the setup is an incredible, wild story from Kenzie on Kenzie's Crimes. As we say every week, it's loaded up there on the podcast for later consumption or to share with anybody that you know loves the true crime world. All right, coming up here in just about 6 minutes, we'll give you that keyword again. One of your last chances to get to Welcome to Rockville, where you'll see Green Day, Shinedown, Korn, Linkin Park, all VIP style. That keyword coming up in 6 minutes.
Here's traffic.
Traffic is brought to you by Jewel Osco, best dang fried chicken in the state. Spring break has caused some lighter traffic, but not on the Kennedy, of course. With the construction going outbound, you're looking at almost 70 minutes to get to O'Hare. There's an accident on the right shoulder of the Kennedy going inbound at Kimball. So give yourself about the same, about 70 minutes to go inbound. It might get there quicker, but you better give yourself that much time if you have to be somewhere. Remember, the outbound express lanes, they only go outbound and they only go toward the Edens. You can't go toward O'Hare on the express lanes going out. You have to stay on the local lanes. The inbound Ike is about 55 minutes from 390 to downtown, about 45 on the Stevenson from Veterans Tollway to Lakeshore Drive. 20 minutes to get you in on the south side. Little problem at the merge. Disabled vehicle on the right shoulder of the Bishop Ford right at the merge, but it's not causing too big a backup. Over in Indiana, the region looking okay. Lakeshore Drive good. So pretty decent. Thanks to spring break. It's 35 degrees, going to be 50 and sunny today.
Brian and Kenzie in the morning. And Chicago's alternative all day.
Q101.